Hi, everyone. Welcome. Um, Tonight is the Adroit Journals issue 53 poetry reading and our celebratory reading for our Gregory Djanikian Scholars in Poetry. Super excited to be here with you all tonight. Very, very fun to see some just all your names in the audience. I know we have uh, uh, our staff here. We have mentors from the mentorship program here, mentees from this upcoming mentorship, our readers. This is a very fun group. My name is John Allen Taylor. I direct the Adroit Journal Summer Mentorship Program. It's going to begin in June, so wish our young writers luck as they get writing with their wonderful mentors. Tonight, we are here to celebrate our 53rd issue and our Gregory Djanikian Scholars in Poetry. Each year, we award 6 poetry scholars in honor of poet Gregory Djanikian, his contributions to emerging poets. Congratulations to our poetry scholars. Tonight, we have with us janan, Alexandra, Akhim, Yuseff, Cabey, Lee Ford, Brian Gyamfi, Tyler Raso, Giovannai Rosa, and from our 53rd issue, we're also joined tonight by Francisco Marquez. Let's see. Um, our 53rd issue is coming out this Thursday. So refresh your web pages this Thursday, dive into reading. It's a wonderful issue, and we're really excited to share it with you. Welcome, settle in, and let's get into some poetry. Please join me in welcoming our first reader, janan Alexandra. janan Alexandra is the author of Come from BOA Editions 2025. Her poem On Form and Matter won the 2023 Adrienne Rich Award, and her poem Open Letter to a Politician is featured in LitHub's 50 Contemporary Poets on the Best Poems They Read in 2024. janan teaches at Indiana University and in community spaces, edits poetry at the Rumpus, and helps curate Mondays Are Free, a Substack collaboration by BFF poets Ross Gay and Pat Rosal. Welcome, janan.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? It's nice to see you all and be gathered here on the internet. Thank you so much for being here and for having us. I'm going to read 2 poems. These are both forthcoming in the Adroit Journal's 53rd issue. And the first one is called Day 68. Day 68. I declare it a day of pleasure. My flag says play, sing a little song, says travel along. I wave my flag made of dirt and snow-dipped trees. It softens in the rain, new letters forming to say free. Can you see it? I pledge allegiance. I'm keeping a ledger, precious measure, seeking daylight for the world dark brain, hoping this might be the break between grief and rage, landing softly all night. What is pleasurable? When the body can lie on uncratered ground, touching my own feet, my love's warm hands like a spoon rest, the roundness of the word spouse and how it suggests sparrow and house, all of which now have a home here. What is sure to please? Having a home here, finding a bluish feather in the hushed meadow, gazing out the window, to live each day without shrapnel in the dictionary, in the air, with no possibility of shrapnel in the calf, in the ear. Call me naive, I won't care. War backwards is raw. I repeat, what is pleasurable? There's no square but repair, no eye, no tooth. Hand on your heart, no nation I declare but being together. No bombing campaign. Try a songbird campaign. Make way for the grass child and sea child and child of rain. And this next poem is called Language Study. Like how the word massacre massacres, or murmur murmurs, and destruction's 3 syllables, all those hard C's and T's seem to bring buildings to their knees, mounds of shatter and ash where once was plenitude. How mercy begets mercy, and strapped to mercy's back is thanks, who thanks and thanks in a joyful gust, not unlike sometimes the exclamation point. Other times comes in quiet with a knapsack slung over one shoulder, some good pens and snacks inside, fresh apricots to share. And here the mother mourning dove watches intently each time we open the door beneath her nest, her eyes round and wide and wet with black water, while in that same moment children play in the street and by the sea and at their desks, and can be suddenly shredded mid-air, which too, its very sound signals terror and the redness of injury. Over and over again, human history teaches us to endure. And though it has the smaller end in it, and though it means to suggest something hard, its sound is long and soft, having no clear start or stop. Thank you.
No bombing campaign. Thank you, Janan. Our next reader tonight is Akhim Yuseff Cabey. Cabey was born in the Bronx, New York. After receiving an MFA from The Ohio State University, he taught at several different colleges and universities before pivoting to the nonprofit sector of adult education. A Pushcart Prize-winning Black author, his debut full-length collection of poetry entitled Get Funky, Get Swole is forthcoming in 2026 from Black Lawrence Press. He is a 6-time recipient of the Ohio Arts Council Individual Excellence Award and a Headland Center for the Arts Resident Fellow. Winner of the 2024 Palette Poetry Rising Poet Prize, his work has appeared in Colorado Review, Rhino, Indiana Review, the Florida Review, Shenandoah, Callaloo, and elsewhere. He now lives in Columbus, Ohio, and can be found on Instagram at the_fit_poet. Welcome.
I think we lost.
Did we lose Akhim?
Yes.
Oh no, that's just the worst timing.
Just disappeared at this. Okay.
We'll come back to Akhim when he comes back in. Heidi, you'll let me know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lee, you're on deck, so let's move forward and we'll come back to Akhim when he's back in the room with us. Our next poet is Lee Ford, a poet from Knoxville, Tennessee, and an English major at Berea College in Kentucky. She was the winner of the 2023 Flo Gault Student Poetry Prize at Sarabande Books, and her work is previously published in Still the Journal.
Hello, thank you. Okay. I'm gonna read 2 poems also. And my first one is called Trailer Park Exit Strategy. So here it goes. Double knot your boots, pack lightly and leave some things behind. The peaches on the kitchen table, green and hard as fists, the kitchen itself, fly shit pointillism, the rusty screen door amputating off the house. The word house, this fear of calling things what they are, the day you ask your mom for peaches and she tells you how she wants to break your teeth on concrete. Those dreams where the double wide crumbles like day-old cornbread under bone-knotted fingers. The gnat halo over the peaches as they blush pink and soften under a dusty gleam, choking out that too tight window. The bedroom carpet, so sticky from dog piss it tries to walk out with you. The camel smoke you can't smell, but everyone else can. The yellow tint in the drywall, the holes, the knuckles and the spaces in between. The people behind them and their belts, the buckle-shaped bruises. The peaches. Your mom about to say sorry, brown and puckered, slippery flesh seeping rings into the wood. Yeah. And this next one is called on God and responsibility. Mama has a way of making it all God's fault. He always makes a way, she'd say, last few dollars ashed in the tray, burnt for a hit of speed, pack of menthol LDs, some green finger and rings, another pocket Bible, other shit she doesn't need. We ate church food, canned beans, mayonnaise sandwiches with lettuce. God kept us poor to keep us with him, gave us hunger so food became divine, illness so health could be granted to his hand. She kept saying, I don't know why God kept me, and nothing about Dr. B, the days I slept in a hospital room at UT. I woke up to Papa on the phone at 5 a.m. When we found her bleeding in an upside-down Nissan, I took several names in vain. She always said I could say anything, anything but GD, but it was God who taught me that there were several names for I love you, and some of them were violent. It was us she called, not an ambulance. She prayed before she drove, but it was us she called.
Thank you, Lee. God kept us poor to keep us with him. Yeah. Let's come back to Akhim. I believe Akhim is back with us. I'm going to read a little bit of this bio again, just to get us in the headspace. Akhim Yuseff Cabey was born in the Bronx, New York, after receiving an MFA from the Ohio State University. He taught at several different colleges and universities before pivoting to the nonprofit sector of adult education. Pushcart Prize winning a Black author, his debut full-length collection of poetry entitled Get Funky, Get Swole is forthcoming in 2026 from Black Lawrence Press. Please welcome Akhim Yuseff Cabey.
Hello, can you all hear me? Right as you called my name, my computer crashed. And so I scurried to find a new computer, and that didn't work. So I am back on the old one. And so I am hoping that the reading goes well. I do apologize if that happens again. But thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad to be here. It's good to put some of your faces. We've gotten some Instagram requests recently from some folks who look very familiar here. So I'll read a couple poems and maybe a third if I have time. But the first poem that I will read, and let me bring it up here. I had it queued up and then all kinds of things started to happen. So let me get my bearings again. Is a poem from my second collection that I'm working on. One of the poems that the Adroit Journal was so wonderful to have selected for this award. It's called When a Black Girl is Killed. When a black girl is killed, a runner cheats several paces off the bag at second base, his intent to steal third as fast as he can. Once as a boy, he'd gouged his chest against a nail at a construction site. White meat, flesh, popcorn past the surface of brown skin, and he saw inside himself what he was made of for the first time. He ran home shirtless, and she laid him down on the pavement in front of the tenement building. The blood had dried, beverage straw wide from the gash to the navel. She licked her palm, wet enough to erase the line of red along his stomach, then adhered gauze to the wound with grease from her baby hair edges. He stood up and she gave him a piece of bubble gum and a baseball autograph with a forged signature of his favorite player. Penmanship she'd been practicing in that place we are born before we are born. Just as the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, he takes off, cleat teeth chewing up dirt, and slides in head first, safely ahead of the throw. Theft like theirs is egotistical, a measured act of greed, but it's the only way he knows how to speed up time so he can get back to fingering the smooth, half penny-shaped scar above his right nipple, and how she spat in her hand, then took the needful from her scalp to mend him. He desires to steal home, knows he will have to plow through the catcher guarding the base, so sets his lungs on fire with breath he no longer possesses, breath escaped already aboard the thought of her frozen body, face down in the river. Thank you. That poem is a companion poem to a piece that I want to read. I was going back and forth between which piece to read, but I think I will read When a Black Boy is Killed. When a black boy is killed, canonical superheroes darken the skin of their video game avatars 2 shades short of cell phone. Because too much parallel between this digital homage and the recently destroyed could signal an admission of guilt. Besides, decisions still need to be made about what kind of hair. Dreadlocks like the politically embittered running back, cornrows of the point guard unable to avoid all those legal entanglements. In the end, they settle on the nostalgic baldy, clean shaven, reminiscent of porn star dick length that once frightened our idols back when they were just ordinary human beings. Satisfied, they select save changes. It's an honor to don the suit of curated flesh, to wiggle and reshape the bow tie of it, to adjust its gold cufflinks, to give themselves a proper once over in the vertical hallway mirror that evokes something familiar of the boy in their own image. Later, they gather at the place his sweetheart goes to remember. Hiding, she overhears the band of costumed benevolent argue differences between good and evil, or not really all that evil if you just shut the fuck up and look at it from a certain point of view. Sweetheart dizzies, listening to them swish platitudes around their indestructible mouths, then spit talk into tin. The one with X-ray vision exposes her, and she clutches the love letter drizzled with cinnamon oil the boy slipped into her backpack before math class that last day she saw him and kissed his dry lips. Fictional protagonists surround her in a flash, foiling the crime of her escape. They assure her all must accept the terms and conditions when playing the exciting game of choosing those specific lives to swoop in and save. How are we doing on time? Good. What I got? Time for one more, maybe?
Please.
Oh, God bless. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Give me 1 second. So this poem called Olentangy River 2019 is sort of a parallel poem to When a Black Girl is Killed. And it's after Amber Evans, who was a activist here in Columbus, Ohio, whose body was found in the Olentangy River that winter. Police said that it was a suicide. But no one believed that. Certainly the circumstances were mysterious. This was during the Black Lives Matter, around COVID time. There were some activists who were turning up missing, et cetera. And when this happened, this event shook me, and it's one of the reasons I wrote this poem. Olentangy River 2019 has an epithet. My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee as with joyful lips. Psalm 63:5. Envy dark men who traveled from derelict parts of the city where children ride giant dogs as if horseback, and weep infrequently the death of small things, just to fish this historic water where local authorities that winter found the Black girl's frozen corpse. Later identified, no evidence, no motive, no nothing. They arrived by public bus, tackle in one hand, battered pole in the other. I sat next to one once, corroded teeth, but forearms taut from the pull or some past toil. They were familiar pilgrims to me at 23, a recent migrant to this Ohio capital from New York City Harbor. Leather jacket, collar popped, vanilla bean, essential oil in the armpits. I will never be him, I thought. Pleasure then only the chance to elicit from the naked girl the sacred half moan, half cry, half gasp, an odd divvying to which I was addicted. But a righteous pursuit, I believe, that separated these ghetto anglers from the sleek, slick cat I was trying to be. Parallel, for example, is the pure winter air and tongue somehow scolded by cold tea. Or somewhere, too, a boy baby feeds on his mother's breasts while the man he's destined to be is stabbed to death in the alley 2 blocks over. Because lie and truth have been made to coexist, soon we all begin to look the same. The killers, the killed. God bless then the poisonous carp these fishermen toss back into the river, colluding to catch and release the same time next week. My first lost tooth, I knew these men were mine. And though I don't fish, in my mind I go with them. The ones from parts of the city where children gather beneath street signs and sacrifice limbs before chanting them back into existence, to our part of the Olentangy. Together we forego the baited hook, instead beckon at the rippled face of the water for the day's catch to reveal themselves and tell us the story of how, of why her body came to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Akhim. I won't try to name it, but there's a beautiful through line in the work our poets are choosing for tonight. And yeah, that was stunning. Thank you. Our next poet tonight is Brian Gyamfi. Brian is the recipient of a Pushcart Prize, a National Endowment for the Arts Literature Fellowship, the Zell Fellowship, 2 Hopwood Awards, the Helen S. and John Wagner Prize, and the Michael R. Gutterman Award. He has been a finalist for the Poetry International Prize, the Oxford Poetry Prize, and the National Poetry Series. Gyamfi graduated summa cum laude with honors from the University of Texas, earning his BA, and later received his MFA from the University of Michigan. His libretto, The Ants Are Illuminated, was commissioned by Overtone Industry for their original Vision opera. His work has appeared in Poetry, Narrative Magazine, the Adroit Journal, Poetry International, Guernica, and other publications. He serves as a contributing editor at Oxford Poetry. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you so much. I'll be reading 2 poems. The first one is called Common Tongue. In the pool, Frank knows himself to be on fire. To become rational, a boy must eat another man. Frank, for a moment, sings, still away to Jesus. His tone, wet like dew, on a cockroach. God, I want to receive anointment and joy, despite the movement of a father's cane, as if to divide a sea from its spine. I have become a division of body parts. Frank sings. He calls me by the thunder, his tongue wrestling the texture of his throat like he might swallow or has swallowed. I am speaking to that texture of thunder, to that chip on his bottom teeth. And my second poem will be Bach Concerto for 2 Violins. In the kingdom, you watch a princess with a beauty mark carry a boy to the bathroom. It's a death-defying moment. The woman who climbs into the mines of the black sun that keeps roosters in utter confusion. Snow settles on the soberness of a boy who dreams feverishly of tickets to the Barbican Center. A sobriety old and lost in a city where harpers plays the wrong tune for the princess and a boy learns to dance. Do you remember the violinist who came back from prison and became a deer? As he manifested into his new life, a sudden metamorphosis, he crawled on his hands and knees. We know Bach's concerto for two violins sounds wrong on one, but the baritone's ballad is within rhythm. In another life, the baritone is the harpist, and the ballad is sung twice by the princess with the beauty mark. The same song is played with eclipse. This time, the boy will stand and protest the minuscule sounds. The princess will be an upturned mountain of misfortune, of fire, of music. The disgrace of a first sight, and God praise the disgraced princess. What you need is a pianist to play along with your voice, the right candlestick, and an omen to shatter countless pains, from the blue catalog freezer inside the center to the prophetic banana leaves that are stepped on. For now, the music will be played all over London, at first quiet and toneless, then assertive, beautiful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Brian. I love these virtual readings and what they do for us and how they bring us together, but I miss the oohs and ahs of the room as we move through these lines together, and I know when they would have been. That was lovely. Thank you, Brian. Next up this evening is Tyler Raso. Pronouns they, she. Tyler is a poet, essayist, and teacher. Her work is featured or forthcoming in Electric Literature, The Offing, Black Warrior Review, Diagram, Salt Hill Journal, Split Lip Magazine, and elsewhere. Previously a Provincetown Fine Arts Work Center Fellow, they currently teach at Fordham University. She feels most at home near rivers and can be found tweeting at Spaghetti Utopia. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. I'm going to be reading an excerpt of an excerpt that will be published with Adroit very soon. When I timed it earlier, it was at exactly 8 minutes, so no more preamble. I'm going to jump in. It's called Search Engine. Dismemberment was a language I sought to learn. I Google normal penis and decide I will be young forever. Every penis in their little image room, the pouch of flesh sequencing it to the unseen body like a purse, a chorus of slits at each tip, some more eye-like, some more mouth-like. I am 9 years old, a number precise on the tongue like a stamen, and the corners between the walls and the ceiling grow more reachable by the day. I have been a girl for as long as I can remember, or a girl-like animal, as I watch each penis fixed in light resemble a penis. Some were drawn in so much detail that they seemed impossible. Corpus cavernosum, corona, pubic symphysis, symphysis, symphysis. Even at 9, I knew that every word was a game. I kept scrolling, and penises kept taking shape like birds in formation. If mine was broken, I could not discern how, but from most angles, a penis looks overwhelmed by thought, its neck weighed like a lamp, its gaze soft like a teardrop. Pity was a name I thought everybody wore. The room had no mirrors, so every form only occurred once. When the phone rang, the images failed to load, boxed out in black like boxes, the penises suspended between code and light. There was a laughter inverting the air like laundry that took a moment to recognize as my mother's. When a computer screen darkens, it fisheyes your reflection. I am certain I did not see me looking at my looking. I watch a time lapse of a flower tearing open its seed, the sky undecided whether it's day or night. If I scroll down, the video pauses like a bandage. If I let the video finish, it loops, stitching the dirt shut like a closet. Once, a boy I had only seen in motion sent me pictures of my apartment from the outside, my shadow holding the window closed. Before he knew me, he said he loved me. He told me often and used many phone numbers. In some of the pictures, you could see my body interrupting the light on its way to the curtain. In some, there was no evidence of my being home. I imagined myself on the bed, my body open like a drawer. Every time I looked out my window, I was hungry at the absence of trees, how naked the street was with streetlight. On a website, I declared myself a woman. I was 11 and did not expect anyone to trust me with their life. The computer constantly exhaling warm breath like a corpse or a bed. Many of the websites people believed I was a woman, though most of them were men, and would choose their language carefully when speaking toward me, as if the distance between us was made of glass. When I was 11, my mother broke up with God, and guilt was a pet only I knew how to feed. My profile picture on the website was Kirby, a being who could become whatever they consumed. I thought about dying every time I thought about dying. I imagined there was a bell around my neck that had lost its sound-making tongue. On the website where I was successfully a woman, I posted poems about bleeding out of my mouth, described it like aerial acrobatics, called it rain. The woman I was and I had the same name. She said she chose it. I chewed the rubber of an eraser until it smelled too much like the inside of me. My stalker had a name and a face. If I concentrated, I could build his face in the shadows of my memory. I imagined my mind's eye had a mouse cursor that pulled his cheeks to the appropriate sunkenness, like poaching an egg. A brush tool to layer the eggplant fists under his eyes. If I had to guess, his eyes were blue, like car windows. I never thought I deserved the word stalker. What he did to me or about me was not for desire, I convinced myself. I spent much of my time playing a video game where homeowning animals depended on you, let you rewrite their speech. A dog wrapped entirely in bandages approached me and said he was contemplating a move to a different island. Stay, I told him. His trust for me was coded and therefore inevitable, like suffocation. Because there was a window in my bedroom, I would often sleep in the bathtub, where the nightlight drew rabbit ears on the locked door. The pipes made a noise, like they were trying to make no noise at all. This photo comes from a new number. Me searching for my keys in front of the gate in front of my apartment building. My one hand seems upset, as if we've gone over this 100 times, the other hand determined, shadowed like a rabbit in my bag. If I look at the image long enough, I can imagine it in motion. Hear the mechanical unclicking of the gate, the unchirping of the system recognizing the fob, the unbreathing of the lobby's overhead light. The quality of this image was more articulated, the angle slightly elevated. He was closer and higher than usual. My glasses hang at the edge of my nose like déjà vu. If I look at a photo of myself for too long, I do a kind of surgery. I peel my forehead back, moon down the hairline, wash the jawline, round the cheeks, unlace the stubble, making a cave around my mouth. I had, at minimum, 2 bodies. The homeowning animals in the video game worry for their sick neighbor, a wolf in a green sweater. She shivers alone in her house, walking from wall to wall like a longing. I leave every light in the apartment unlit, the only light drooling under the door from the hallway, sheer as a mask. There is a medicine for this kind of loneliness, I tell the wolf. She is programmed to believe me. I wipe my save file to create a new island. The homeowning animals I knew as my neighbors, a crocodile, a sheep, an elephant, a dog, a pig, a mouse, a wolf, return silently to code, like dust. The new island, half dust, the sky blue, the water blue. This one grows apples, so I wipe the save data. The new island, half dust, the sky blue, the water blue, the stars blue. This one grows oranges. The weeds fill the grass with teeth. I am a girl this time. My avatar's hair handlebarring off her skull, like a cliff. A frog and a deer walk on their 2 legs and seem lost, like eyes. Given the option to name myself, I do. Given the option to name the island, I do. Everyone speaks to me as if I am incapable of hurting them. I catch a butterfly. I tear, root by root, the weeds. Okay, that's where I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. I was 11 and did not expect anyone to trust me with their life. There are so many lines in this poem that really take me by surprise. There's a lot of familiarity and also a lot of startle. Thank you very, very much for reading that. Our next poem tonight is Giovannai Rosa. Giovannai Rosa is a writer, editor, and artist from Miami, a 2023 Tin House Reading Fellow, 23 Tin House Scholar, and 22 Paraplus Fellow. The work has been housed in Plowshares, Passages North, the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day series, the Akhim, Oxford American, and more. As an editor at the Hopkins Review, they curated Estuary, a series on poets before the first book. Find them at giovannirosa.com. Welcome, Giovannai.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you everyone for being here and spending your night with us, or a small portion of it. You could be doing anything right now, but you chose to be here with us, so I'm grateful. I'll read these three poems three poems. I can fit that in 8 minutes. Before I do begin, I want to make sure, is my sound okay? Good, cool. This first poem is called Todavía hay boricuas, which is borrowing its title from a painting by Juan Sanchez. And the translation just means, "They're still Puerto Ricans?" ? Language didn't save us. I wanted it. Beauty in my past. To know what their mouths looked like in Aguadilla, Utuado. Babies in a greenhouse playing with language. I wanted it. A small pink tongue fruiting with speech. What I could not siphon out a photo from that space behind me. Our amber. Desire. A hole without a floor. Endless our want. We went missing on earth. Dissolved from our flight. Our nothing that followed us from the islands. Not behind, but above our mother's mouth spilling with debt. Which home? Which home to die in slow bankruptcy? A red moon spilling on the pine. A dark bird plucking apart a doe. This was mine, to be the sum of migration. Our grandmother's choices. My dead's joy. Vanishing from acts that began when the earth was younger. I die this way. A bullet, a knife, a pacemaker eaten by a flame. I die this way. A law, a bank, cancers following the memory. We only touched our fathers once, their hands unclean with want. I wanted to live, to look left and find the disappeared pouring back to their bodies. Ma, bringing a bowl of food to her mouth. For the next two, I'll read two of the three poems being published in the issue coming up. One of them was, I'm still working out how to read them out loud, so I'm reading the two that are most easiest. This next one is called Miami Pastoral. What we lost is still in the water. We went to work anyways. Mango blooming in the southern winter. Once the ocean whirled above our heads, now the Atlantic following the memory. The past, the film atop the present. Mommy's dead Corolla wilting the grass. Her hazards blinking off the point Sienna. Their brown-black seed pods swaying above the peeling hood. Still, saw palmetto clustered beneath the slash pine, their bark begging for the flame and the light. We crawled through a window to keep a gallon of milk in the fridge in the empty apartment next door. Still, silver palms in bloom, dizzy with bees, gumbo limbo shedding their copper flesh. The money didn't belong to us. 28 places to sleep in 6 years. The sodden heat relentless in its want. Our bodies the meal. Sweating at bus stops for buses that never came. Still, the kunti bush thick with atalas. Our mouths thick with dialect, thick with gold. A Chevy's slow drift. A dark mole on a hand stirring coffee to sweetness. A black gun singing in a shoebox. We found a circle of ibis dipping their curved beaks to the blades of grass. Scattering when the police tank slices the avenue, waiting for flood season, turning the road to a bay. How to live through our wet months of hunger. Chicken over fries in a white foam box, eating on the car's trunk touched with dusk. Give me the magic, which is money, which is water winding through us. Our bodies gathered beneath illusion, what we are made of, what we are robbed of. Give me the ghosts who know the story, who know the city made of water, the city made of light. Who find us here begging in the empty house, a tree blooming in the window. And I'll finish with this last one. This is called, I wanted to be a filmmaker before I realized how many people I had to talk to. Spring warped the train window. A wetland was beginning to green. the headless trees slanting like bones out the brown muck. I'm thinking of being sliced open in a hospital, my unfinished language, the promise of a fertility clinic, my lips warm at the ridge of your knuckles, a kiss pushed into the heat of your palm. In life, I was looking for the texture film brought. In the memory, I was quiet through winter, longing beneath the catalpa, the red maple and honey locust dark and nude. I was missing the green with nausea. Like that too, my body. Like that too, I entered emptiness. Not as beautiful as I'd hoped, just loud. My sequined jacket scattering the light. Pain, swimming beneath the waist. Said nothing for months. I hadn't been to the doctor since I was a child. When I went, they charged me $2,000 to practice being wrong. So I ignored the bill like I was taught. Quiet as light. A muted TV moving with color. The door shaking from the landlord's fist. I now know what has happened inside me. Today, I'm disgusted by cement, trash, and metal, a black fence holding back a scrap yard, and still there's glory. Two fawns splitting the paled cattail to reach the trout lily, feasting to fill a hunger, eager, ephemeral, the pollen dusting their pink tongues. I like to imagine the earth before boats, 600 years worth of green, someone saying, I love you, something that cannot fit in language, spring shattering out the dead wood. My first memory was fear. How do I explain this out loud? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm teaching music and meter and poetry to my students this semester, and your pastoral poem, Giovanni, I think is how we will end the semester. Thank you very much. Our last reader tonight is Francisco Marquez. Francisco is a poet from Maracaibo, Venezuela, born in Miami, Florida. His work has been featured in the Yale Review, the Brooklyn Rail, the Slowdown Podcast, and the Best American Poetry Anthology. He has received support from the Tin House Writers Workshop, the Poetry Project, and the Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown, where he was a 2019-2020 Poetry Fellow. He works and lives in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, Francisco.
Hi, thank you, John. Everybody hears me? Yes, great. Thank you so much to Adroit for having me, and for everybody for being here to listen to poems Tuesday night. As Giovanni said, I'll be reading 3 poems. 2 of them are going to be the ones that are in the issue, and one of them is a newer poem, which feels vulnerable but exciting. The first one is a poem called The Bulge, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Let me tell you of that first encounter. Summer, I am 13. My father takes me to see his friend, the repairman, fixing the roof of a home. We drive into alleys that narrow between houses miles from where we lived, and I am bored, accustomed as children are to do as I am told, wear what I'm told to wear. This was before the age of choice, before I picked at the shape of my clothes and, imageless, held no faith on which to rest my suffering, until that Sunday in August when the heavy sun threw its heat on the tops of houses and handymen undressed to sweat a little better. When we arrive, the driveway is mostly dirt, as was the chest of the man with a name I don't remember, mixed with paint on a trail of fur that lowered to his hairier belly, near his hips where he hung an undershirt tucked at the edge of his jeans, by the belt that sagged with the implements of his labor, and this new desire, so much like a ghost, turned recognizable by a shift in the air, as yet unannounced before my eyes descended to the bulge, which grew in heft like God, or the mountain on which it said he resides, where Moses received the holy commandments, knowing well all the pain they would bring. Maybe faith is a risk to know you are but an instrument. Let it be with me, I say, according to you. That one's in the next issue, I believe. And this next poem is a newer poem, and deciding to read it because it takes place at my alma mater at Florida State University, which recently had a shooting. And when I was there in 2014, there was also a shooting, and sort of scary to see that there's sort of been no improvement in terms of mental health resources, in terms of taking guns off the school, or at least finding ways to really protect students. So anyway, this really kind of reflects on a time that was, really kind of filled with a lot of joy and learning and possibility, which is what, education should feel like. Campus. Routinely, on friendless afternoons, I like to kill time walking through the halls of the music department, listening to sopranos practice their arias, muffled scales escaping their textured, soundproof rooms. On Thursdays in the spring, the dance department opens its windows and everyone can see the dancers leaping like dough on the canopied parkway, white lines unfurling down the college entrance for miles as I am consumed, it seems, by a single wish to be seen, to see with my own eyes for the first time. Later, in the overcrowded library, I'll leave for the last floor's sepulchral silence, rumored to be consequenced of students coupling in the rolling stacks, the men's corner bathroom adorned with a glory hole in the final stall. And still I recall the girl I spoke to once about heartbreak, sitting by each other for hours, sensing our closeness vanish in seconds after walking away and realizing I was happiest when I was alone. Sometimes, looking out the window, staring at the central quad, I try to memorize that manicured landscape, watch the students rush while almost feeling it fading, who I was retreating like a blurred vision, my single sense of purpose also fading, when all I want is to stay like this, plotless among strangers, as the voices of happy people gather in the open air. And I'll close with the other poem that's in the issue. It's called Goldfish, and it's inspired by a poem by Diane Seuss, called White Violet, Not So Much an Image. It's a great poem. And it's also inspired by a true story involving my sister who lives in Florida, and I believe she's here. This is called Goldfish. Thank you. After we found it, motionless on the floor, an amber ray refracting on porcelain, my sister took a knife to its side and sliced it, two halves revealing a single squalid thing like the underside of an embroidery. Years ago, I was told the only way to ever know tenderness is to dismantle it. So I think that's where our questions began, in the body of a fish, an animal so invisible it was almost ornamental, internal organs so translucent they resembled Victorian gowns, its swim bladder suspended amidst the folds of its accordion heart, intestine rolled up in the braiding of a rope, and so much existed inside it, a living machinery, that the goldfish became more real in death than in life. I was ashamed to have thought this, as I was ashamed in the hospital to see our great-grandmother motionless in bed, not dead, unable to remember who I was, her stillness terribly material, somehow weighty but nearly evaporative, and I wanted to turn away from her, her body emptied of soul. But I moved even closer, and like one who studies a corpse to know what it is that moves a hand, I looked in her eyes to find in them the end of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. Thank you all very much, really. I had sort of a half thought, but I was too wrapped up in that last poem to finish it. But the through line that I mentioned earlier, I think I would call witness, and that's about as far as I got. I think tonight we witnessed to many things that need constant witness and attention. Thank you again for reading tonight. I'll close us out here A couple announcements and a few things I'll note before we conclude. It was a pleasure to be here with you all, poets. Congratulations again to our Djanikian Scholars in Poetry. We are so honored to support you and your work. We're excited to see what's next for you. And join us tomorrow evening for a reading with our prose scholars. It will be excellent. Our 53rd issue releases Thursday. I know you all won't miss it after hearing the poems tonight, but share with your friends, your family, your students. Make sure they don't miss it. Two announcements. We are open for the Adroit Prizes. The Adroit Prizes are awarded annually to 2 students of secondary or undergraduate status. If you know of any young writers, encourage them to submit, encourage them to participate, I would say. It's a fantastic opportunity and a good way to get young writers sort of connected to what we're up to here at the Journal. We are also open for new staff readers. If you are interested in participating more, reach out to us on Submittable. I'll also mention that while we're not bringing on new mentors for the summer mentorship right now, if you're generally interested in mentoring, reach out to me or to my colleague Kate Gaskin at the mentorship. Summer 2026 will be here before we know it. So if that's something that you might be interested in, let us know. Thank you again, finally. Thank you to our readers tonight. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the Adroit staff, my wonderful colleagues of readers and writers. This is an enormous effort, and it would not happen if it were not for you all. Have a good night.